If you could change any choices you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of Inspired Choices radio show, Christine McIver.
Show. So welcome everybody to the Inspired Choices show. I'm your host, Christine McIver. Tonight's show is the zigzagging road of creating a sustainable business strategy. And you know, that sounds like big words, but it is really essential. So if you are an entrepreneur, whether you've hung out your shingle yesterday or you hung it out 15 years ago and you still feel like you're all over the place, or you would like to turn up the potency of your business, the revenue, the play, the enjoyment, and just expand out into other areas within business, come on along for the ride. So tonight we're going to talk all about business. We're going to talk about strategy, and we're also going to talk about what's stopping you and what's actually limiting you from really having a sustainable strategy. Before we get into tonight's show, I do want to tell you about who I am and what I do. So I'm a business optimization expert. I've been in my own business now for 12, 13 years. I can't even keep track, for many, many years. And the really cool thing about what I do is I get to do things that bring me pleasure, things that bring me joy and happiness. And yeah, sometimes even things that makes me a little crazy. But you know, with business, you're going to have all of that, whether you're working for yourself or you're working for somebody else. There's always a little mix of crazy in there, and that's okay. But when I get to do what I love and I get to actually connect with amazing people who have messages that they wish to get out to the world, and they really want to step up into the realm of what they know is possible for their business, that's when I'm in my place of joy. So I'm a business optimization expert. I'm also the CEO of the Inspired Choices Network, which is an online radio, TV, and podcast platform where we broadcast, produce, co-create with amazing people, amazing voices, content that really changes the world. And we spread their message all over the internet to 450 platforms, including a smart TV app and on your smart TV in your living room or bedroom or wherever you watch TV. So I get to have so much fun with creating all of that. And it has been a learning journey. Let me tell you, I have learned a great deal. And sometimes there was more zag than there was zig. And that's what I really want to share with you tonight, because what I really do hope is that people can actually learn from where I've been so that it becomes an easier journey for you. And then as you grow and you expand and you really step into your knowing and you get strong with your understanding, then you can share that to someone else. And together we can create a world that we know is absolutely possible. All right, let me read you the description of tonight's show and then we're going to go. So if you've just started a business or you're desiring to grow a business, this show is for you. The challenges in growing a business is a zigzagging road that often feels very confusing and draining. How many people would agree with that one? To have a sustainable business, it is imperative that you have a sustainable business strategy. You have to have a strategy. And I didn't really understand that until a very few years ago. While many new business owners don't know what steps to take or how their business is going to grow, having a business strategy will support the winding, changing road of business growth. You'll learn about creating a strategy and how a non-generating financial step may be an important step towards financial prosperity. So I really do hope that if you are listening live, you come in and join us at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. Join us in the chat room. You'll see that on the menu bar. Or if you're listening to the replay, send me an email. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love hearing your comments. And you know what? Let's have some more fun and pleasure with your business. So let's dive right in. So strategy can be complicated. When I first started in business and somebody said strategy, I'll tell you what jumped into my mind. What jumped into my mind was all of this paperwork, like when you are applying for a loan, a bank loan. And I just thought it had to be so incredibly complicated. And at the time, like many of us, I judged myself that I was not intelligent enough to be able to do that. So I just thought, you know what, if I just work really hard, but I keep my head below the wire, nobody will know that I'm not doing that, and I'll be able to just move along and get along fine. That wasn't quite the case, but here we are. So strategy can be complicated, but it doesn't have to be, right? You are actually strategizing all of the time. You are thinking about, okay, especially if you are someone who has multiple tasks in a day. So you have your business or you have your job, then maybe you have a family member you take care of, maybe you have children, perhaps you are involved in some kind of extracurricular activities, some events that you are involved in. You are looking all of the time at what you need to be doing. We're strategizing about, what are we going to eat today? What do we need to buy at the store today to have dinner? When are we going to be able to actually go and pick up the groceries? How are we going to get to the grocery store? Who's got the car? When are we going to need the car? What time do we have to be home? You are strategizing all of the time. What you are doing is you are planning. That is what strategy is, planning. You are planning and planning forward. And strategizing in today's world really means putting things in place to support a target. That's what it means in today's world. Now, one of the original definitions of strategy was from, it was a noun, it was shown as a noun, and it was from 1887. And I really love this part about it because I really felt this piece spoke to what we're talking about tonight. And what it says is, it's strategy is that which is spread out. It's from the root word steer, to spread. And it also is leader and lead, to draw out or go forth and move. Isn't that very cool? I love that. When I think about that word strategy now, it gives me a different visualization. It's really about spreading out and going forth. Isn't that cool? So when you think about strategy with your business, right, I want you to start thinking about spreading out. Put that as part of your target. Now, spreading out, my friends, does not mean that you are working more hours, that you are doing 100 more things. It may be that you have to do some extra planning, putting some systems in place so that you can spread out, so you can do things faster, more simply, and get more things done. That's one of the things that I love to do with clients, and I love to do in my business, is put processes in place, put systems in place so that things can go faster and faster and faster. That's the way to take time to your advantage, is when you can create things that you're, that old touch it once. If you only have to touch it once, you're going to save a whole lot of time. And this is part of your strategy, is putting these systems in place, but you definitely want to be spreading out. So one of the biggest things that I really want you to get is that your strategy, it's your GPS to ride and create along the zigzag of business. Now, the biggest challenge, the biggest area of growth is actually in relationship. If you want to be challenged to grow, to really step up your game, get into a relationship. And you are in a relationship with yourself when you are in your own business. Being in a relationship doesn't mean just a lover. All right. There's all sorts of forms of relationship. And I've talked many times about the relationship with your business. So I want you to understand that if you are challenged, if you are struggling, if you've struggled ever with business, I want you to understand that that is exactly what is supposed to occur. There is no one I have ever met that started in business and it was just easy. You see, the thing is that business is really talking about creating something that's never been. Now, you may be one of the franchisees of a restaurant, but under your tutelage and with the people that you are having your employment and with training and with the people that are coming into your store, into your restaurant, it's going to be different for you than it is for another franchisee. So you are going to have to learn and grow. And I really would love to get into people's mind that being challenged is part of the play. It's part of the fun. But most of us feel like if I'm being challenged and I'm not doing well and I don't get this strategy thing down, or I don't know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, that there is something wrong with you or that you're terrible in business. And that's just not true. Not at all. When you start in your own business, you are going to need to learn to grow, and you're going to need to learn to step into the challenges. And the difference between struggling and moving forward is allowing yourself to go along the zigzag. The zigzag is the learning. The zigzag is the growing. But most people, when they start in business, what they're actually doing is they are resisting. They are resisting the change. They're resisting the zigzag. They're resisting the moving. They want to stay in one silo. They want to stay in one lane where they feel safe, where they feel like they are going to succeed. They're going to be protected, and they're never going to be challenged. Did you really come here not to be challenged, not to grow, not to expand? You know, your definition in your mind and in your heart about those words is going to make a huge difference. So I really want to invite you into thinking about what does the word challenge mean to me? Does the word challenge mean to me that I'm going to be fighting? Or does the word challenge mean to me that I'm going to be stretching myself, that I'm going to be learning and growing? You know, one of the things that is so obvious and talked about so much is that as you grow, you want to keep challenging yourself with your body, right? You want to have a strong body. You need to keep challenging your body and keep doing things that strengthen your body, that expand your body, that moves your body through changes in your physiology. Well, that's exactly the same when we're talking about your business. You want to absolutely understand that challenging yourself is a gift, and it's so easy when you are not in resistance. So we're going to go for our first break of the show. And I really do want you to think about, while we're on break, what does the word challenge mean to me? What does it mean to me to be in business? Am I looking for a comfort zone in my business, or am I looking to have a sustainable business, which requires me to grow? Those are important steps. And I would suggest possibly writing those steps down and really meditating on that, giving some thought, or even taking that question to your team and having a discussion around that. When your whole team is on the same page with their understanding and how it impacts them with that word, it can make a big difference in how you're growing. So stick around, my friends. You are listening to Inspired Choices with your host, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network. When we get back, we're going to talk way more about strategy and business.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. If you're just joining, we are talking all about the zigzagging road of creating a sustainable business strategy. I'm your host, Christine McIver. We're on the Inspired Choices Network. If you have any questions or comments, come join us in the chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. So in our first segment, we were talking about how strategy is really about spreading out and going forward. And most people that are struggling in business feel like they need to focus, right? You need to focus and you need to focus and get a niche and stay in one area. And I'm going to call BS on that one. And I'll tell you why. When you first start in business, you may have an idea. You may have a really great idea and you get very excited about it and things start lining up for you. They start lining up for you. And then what oftentimes, and I see this, I would say 9.5 times out of 10, what often happens is the excitement starts to drop because things don't exactly turn out the way that you have imagined them to, right? So we get really excited and we start going and going and going. And then we start, the zigging and zagging starts, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I got to go over here. This isn't working as well as I thought it would. I have to do these other things, or maybe I should go get a job. How many of you have started a business and then thought, maybe I should go get a job because what I decided before I actually started in my business isn't working? Yeah, in the chat room, we make this decision in our mind. Our mind wants things very organized. Our mind wants security. Our mind wants to take care of us, right? Our mind wants to keep us safe. But that's not where creativity lives. In your mind, that's not where it's going to grow. It's going to grow through your awareness and your intuition and your excitement, which is not in your mind. It's in the different parts of your body and in the energies within you. So when you are trying to control, we know this, when you're trying to control, there's a part of you that's afraid that you're going to fail. And I'm going to tell you, you are 100% guaranteed to fail if you are not willing to change. 100%. The only thing, and I know you've probably heard this 1,000 times, the only thing that is constant is change. And when you are a new entrepreneur, when you're a new soulpreneur, you don't know where your brilliance is going to lie until you get on that trail, until you start. And you may find that, you know what, I thought I was going to do this and I am nowhere near interested in doing this. Have you ever met someone that they went to school for a profession and they're nowhere near doing that because along their journey in life, they discovered that that wasn't what actually lit them up. And what actually lights us up is where the sustainable business can come in. So it's okay to change your mind. You can make another choice. You can always make another choice. If you are willing to be flexible, to grow, and to allow yourself to change your mind. What does it say about you if you change your mind? Well, more than 50% of marriages have decided that because the marriage didn't quote unquote work, they failed. And I call bullshit on that. I really do. I call bullshit on that, because when you go into a marriage, most of us that have gone into marriage, we don't know who we are. We sure as hell don't know who that person is. And we have no idea how we're going to mesh our lives together. When the children become involved, now suddenly we've got different value systems that pop up. We have, everybody else in the, the outside families, they all get their 2 cents into it. And then it becomes chaos. That's just the morals and the values. Then we go through changes with jobs, we go through changes with business, and now money gets in the way, or the lack thereof. And we're trying so hard to succeed, and we're trying so hard to stay in that lane and just focus and focus and focus and focus and focus, that then the money piece, which is the primary reason people get divorced, starts to rear its ugly head. And all your fears and all your insecurities come to the surface with that. And I'm telling you that change is normal, and not knowing whether it's going to be a fit, whether we're talking about a marriage or we're talking about a business, is normal. But just like in marriages, in business, you can pivot. You can make another choice. You can keep revisiting what is working and what isn't working, and you can make another choice. So are you willing to allow yourself to change your mind so that the zigzagging can actually be an adventure and not a painful torture to growing a business? Are you willing? Or are you so deep down mitered in your control that you're going to beat yourself up emotionally, mentally, financially, because what you decided before you ever hung your shingle out isn't working, must work. It must work. This has to work. What does it say about me if it doesn't work? What it says about you is you're normal. I want you to understand that. Go look at businesses, how businesses grow and change. Somebody starts out with a vision. If you look at generational businesses, someone starts out with a vision, and they start going down that path. And then when the zigging and the zagging in their business starts, oftentimes another generation will come in and they'll take it. They'll take the baton and they'll move on with it, and they will change the business. Now, sometimes it won't succeed, but lots of times it does succeed. You can have the excitement. You can have the pleasure of change if you will please understand that until you get started, you don't know what you're going to be good at. You don't know where you are going to fit in this ever-changing world with your genius. And I would guess that most people don't even discover their genius for 5 to 10 years after starting their business. So when I started out, I've told you guys this story, but if you're just joining us, I'll tell you again. I started out in human resources. That's where I was. And I was going along in human resources, and I thought, okay, I have got the education. I invested a lot of time and money. I invested a great deal of time and money, about 8 years in our local human resources chapter. I did all that extra to really climb that ladder so I could show that I was devoted to the profession. And I worked my way up the corporate ladder, and I had the company credit card, and I had the office, and I was traveling, and I was doing all the things. And you know what? It wasn't really making me happy. As I continued along and I actually arrived at where I thought I would be, I wasn't happy. I didn't know what it was really going to be about until I arrived there. And that is no different than when you're in business. And many people probably have done the same thing that I did, is that you pushed yourself to try to make yourself fit into this box. That was my first profession, human resources. And I pushed myself so bad, my friends, that I had a nervous breakdown. I'm telling you, I couldn't have worked more hours. I couldn't have been more miserable if I tried. I was doing everything I could to make it work because, oh my God, I invested all this time and all this money and my reputation and blah, blah, blah was at the effect. And it wasn't working. And my body knew it wasn't working. And my heart knew it wasn't working. And I had a breakdown, which was actually the biggest gift. At the time, I felt like I was the biggest loser. I felt like, you know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. I haven't a clue. There's something wrong with me. I blamed it all on myself instead of looking at it from a different perspective. And that's often what's required. So if you are in that tough spot, allow yourself to look at it from a different perspective. And if you can't, reach out to myself. I will work with you to show you and support you to come from a different angle, because when we're deep in it, we can't see what's really occurring. When you're that frog in that pot of water and it's boiling, you don't even know it's boiling because you've been in it for so long. It's so important that you support yourself on this journey, my friends. And it's so important that you understand that the changing is so normal. You've got to want to really be excited about, I wonder really what is going to come in my business. Don't be so attached to what your business has to look like. I said to myself, what is it going to say that I'm no longer in human resources? What is it? Like, I had so much shame wrapped up in that. But I'll tell you something, when I stood back and I looked at what it was within that job that I loved, I took that part with me and I left the rest behind. And I started my own business. And I really thought, oh, well, I'll start my own business. I'll start doing human resources consulting. And every time I said that to someone, or every time I thought about it, I actually wanted to throw up. It was just like my body was going, no, we're not doing that. We're not going to do that. And what was very interesting was like, okay, I was at a point where at one time before I started my business, and I was deep in depression, and I actually lined pills up on the coffee table because I couldn't see my way out of it. And I was so mitered down in shame and judgment. And thank God, I don't know why I didn't pick those up and put them in my mouth, but I didn't. Thank God I didn't. And then I started my business, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to do, but I had a couple of ideas. And then when people would start to ask me questions, well, I thought about doing this. And when they needed support, I thought, well, I wonder if I could do that. And one of the greatest gifts that I know I have and that I continue to cultivate is my curiosity. I wonder. It's been one of the best things for me. At times when I've come up with all these ideas, my team has said, oh my God, not another idea. There she goes again. And yet it would make me laugh. It would make me giggle. It doesn't mean just because I was curious and I had an idea that it was actually going to go through with it. I was going to go ahead with it. But what it did do is it was the invitation for me to kind of look behind the curtain and go, I wonder if that would be fun. I wonder if that would be exciting. I wonder if I could add that to my business. So I started out in human resources, and I was coaching individuals, really personal coaching. And from that, people started asking me about support for starting a business. And that's where I started to go way down that path in business coaching and consulting. And then a couple years after starting that, I was approached about having my own radio show. And here we are 8 years later, 6 years later. No, wait a minute. That was 2011. So 12 years later, here I am. I would have never imagined that I would actually own an online radio, TV, and podcast platform. I never imagined it in all my and it just was never part of my reality. And today, I am a global authority in my area of expertise, and I work with other people to bring them to be a global authority in their area of expertise. And it's so much fun. I enjoy my life more. It's more rich. It's more fulfilled. I love the work that I do, even when there's crazy days of technology challenges, or this doesn't work with that employee, or whatever the case may be. I still love what I do, and I'm still in the space of curiosity. This is one of the gifts you can give to yourself, is the gift of curiosity, which will have you riding that road of zigzag with so much ease. All right, we are up for our second break. Please come back. I've got more to share with you. You're listening to the Inspired Choices show with myself, Christine McIver, here on the Inspired Choices Network, talking all about business strategy and sustainable business strategy. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices radio show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices radio show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm having fun. I hope you are too. And I hope that this is being a contribution to you. Please know that I am available for coaching with new business owners and established business owners. I actually have one-on-one coaching, and I have a coaching package. Actually, it's called a strategic business package, where we really get in and we look at everything within your business. Now, let's go back and let's talk about business strategy. For real, the business strategy. So what is a business strategy? In the first segment, we talked about it being a plan, and that you're to spread out. So one of the most important things about starting out with a business strategy, and you could call it a plan if it freaks you out less, is start to list out everything that you do. Start to list out all of your services or all of your products, everything that you have done, you do today, that you offer today. Beside that, and in the next column is put down the price for each of those items, okay? And then look at your last 3 months and do a separate, I always use an Excel spreadsheet, do a separate Excel spreadsheet for each of the last 3 months. And then list in there, without judgment, no judgment is allowed to come into this. List out exactly how many of those services or products that you sold each month for the last 3 months, okay? That's going to start to give you a picture of where you were actually showing up and creating business. This is very important. And this is not from the place to judge yourself. This is from the place of getting a real picture of what is going on in your business. We don't get down into the taxes and all of the expenses. We're just looking at sales. Now, what I have found with a lot of business owners when I've been doing this with them is if they judge themselves a little, they judge themselves a lot. And they will be surprised often at how much sales they have done in each of these individual months. And oftentimes there might be one product or service they're quite surprised. They didn't realize how much they had actually sold in that area. If you're not tracking your sales, if you're not looking at those sales on a monthly, weekly, and daily basis, you do not have a GPS in front of you. And that is going to make you feel like you are flying by the seat of your pants down this zigzag road. All right. That is critical, that you are looking at your sales daily, right? You need to be planning, not from an obsessive energy, but really from an awareness. Okay, right. So I did this. This is where I am now. And then the next part is the big strategy piece. So once you have these 3 months laid out and you start to really look at your numbers, both individually and what the change was from 1 month to the next for each of the individual services or products, you can see what change is happening, where the growth is, where the growth has maybe changed from one service to another. And then that's when you can start to analyze, okay, where would I like to be? So if you said to yourself, let's say you were making $75,000, if you averaged over the last year, $75,000, and you would like to double that, okay? That's a reasonable target. What you want to do is you want to start reverse engineering. So you want to look at, okay, if I've already done, let's say, this is September, but let's say we went July to the end of June, and that's the year that you were looking at. So you've got your July, you've got your August, and you've got your September numbers, right? And out of those numbers, if you averaged 100,000 or 75,000 in a year, you were probably looking at about 6,000 a month. In order for you to double that, you would need 12,000 a month, right? No, you're never going to go from 6,000 to 12,000. If you haven't already done it, you're absolutely not going to do it. But what you want to do is you want to start gearing up, right? You want to start gearing up. And this is where the planning and the strategy piece comes in. Now, the other really, really awesome thing that when I'm working with somebody is what we do is we actually evaluate how much time was spent on each of the services. You need to know how much time you are investing. So for myself as a coach, I know how many coaching hours I have had for each of my clients. And I might even build in an extra half an hour for getting ready beforehand or preparing for the call or doing something after the call. So I would definitely know how many hours I've been putting into that. And the really interesting thing is that when you do this evaluation, and I've got a tool to teach you how to do that if you've never done that before, maybe even looking at all of the tasks that you're doing. But when you start to evaluate how much time you've invested you've invested in each one of these services or products, and you add that up on a per month basis, I am positive you will be very shocked that it is barely taking up 50% of your work hours. So we're talking about 40 hours a week, okay, based on that. What happens is that many business owners will then say, well, what the hell? I feel like I'm working all of the time, and that's the only amount of hours that's been taken, that's been allocated to actually doing my coaching calls. Let's just call it that, right? They're quite surprised. And what I know to be true in most cases, it's because they're going down that zigzagging road and they're going in all sorts of directions and they're not actually moving with the changes. And that's where it makes it not a sustainable strategy, because you get exhausted, you get overwhelmed. You are not planning, but you are being pulled. You are being pulled like crazy. And when you're being pulled, you are not in control. And the funny thing is that the biggest thing that is stopping people from really driving their business vehicle is trying to stop and control it. But the real way you get control is by moving with the business, by moving with the challenges. If you've ever driven a vehicle, I'm a Canadian girl and I've driven in lots of snowstorms and lots of icy and times. And if you're ever driving a vehicle with no snow tires and no chains, and you're going down an icy road, you learn damn fast. You don't try to control that wheel. You move with it. You move with it. And when you move with it, the vehicle starts to right itself. It starts to right itself. And you don't have to hold on for your life. You don't want to be trying to control the path. What you want to do is you want to learn how to move with the path. Change is going to happen. There is nothing you can do about it. It is always going to happen. But your job is to really lay out the plan to support yourself. So let's go back to the piece about the hours. So one of the tasks that's annoying that I do with my clients, and I challenge them to do it for at least 2 to 3 weeks, is to track all of the things that they're doing every single day for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. And we actually create a grid, and where they can just kind of like all the tasks down the one side, and then a 15-minute increments across the top, and they can just X in this chart where they spent their time in that 15 minutes and so on and so forth. And at first there's resistance to doing it. And I can tell you, every client that I've challenged and took the challenge, they started to they did it for these 2 to 3 weeks. They were so surprised at where they were putting their time, where they were investing their time. They were not staying on track, and they were not making their business a priority with their strategy. This is really important. But the really fabulous thing that occurs once you've gone through all of these tasks is you start to see the potency that you have and how much you can actually start to move with the changes and move with the growth in a way that you know you are on your path to doing it. Now, one of the big things just before we go to break that I want to really bring your mind to is understanding that oftentimes some of the biggest things that you are going to choose may not have a financial reward, but they are actually one of the greatest investments for you to move through to create financial prosperity. Honestly, you can be investing your time and energy and focus with creating connections, with being involved in certain events, with taking the time to maybe write a book, taking the time to have your own show, taking the time to invest to create your authority in the world, so that as you are going out to the world, you don't have to try to sell yourself. Your choices and what you've created speak very generously about who you are and what you do. That again is a strategy to grow you and have fun with it. Understand that not every step you're going to take is going to have a financial reward, but it can have a reward that's non-monetary initially. All right, we're up to our last break. Please stick around. We got a little bit more before we end tonight's show. You're listening to Christine McIver on the Inspired Choices Show here on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices in our lives based on our past experiences or what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join Inspired Choices Radio Show with Coach Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know but may not choose that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back and brings all her expertise during each and every show. Are you ready to create the life and the living you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with Coach Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
All right, my friends. Wow, this show goes fast, doesn't it? But I hope you're having as much fun as I'm having, because talking about business and strategy and possibilities and growth really, really lights me up. And when I get to work with business owners who are struggling, and I get to give them hope and show them that the challenge isn't as difficult as they've made up in their minds, that is actually the best part of my day. The best part of my business is actually doing that, is showing people a possibility and showing them a new way. And in order to get to that new way, you've got to understand that your resistance to change and growth will keep you at the effect of the zigzag that we're talking about. And it will also block the possibilities from being seen. The possibilities of your growth, of your business growth, is already there. But most of us have blinders on because we are trying so hard to resist falling. We're trying so hard not to have a major screw up, that we're not in that space of curiosity that I was talking about. We're not in that place of, I wonder what else might be fun. I wonder what else. And when people approach us and they ask us about ideas, many of us shut them down right away because they don't fit in that box. And that, my friends, that is the space where you're stopping yourself and you're cutting off receiving. Resistance is actually cutting off receiving new possibilities. So if you desire for your business to grow and expand, and you want to have a strategy to really, increase your business by 20%, 50%, 100%, whatever it is, please know that if you have that desire, it is absolutely possible. You don't know how it's going to happen. No business owner knows exactly how it's going to happen because there's change happening all of the time. But the opportunities can come knocking. And when they come knocking, when you have your mind open, when you're really willing to listen and allow the energy of the opportunity to be with you, and you play with the idea and you start to imagine yourself in that space and connect in with your own intuition around that, with no judgment, no expectation, that's where you can start to get the awareness if that will be a gift, if that's something that you could marry with what you're doing already. You may find yourself like me, doing something completely different that you never imagined. I didn't go to school to do what I do today, not the actual producing. I didn't go to school to learn how to create a website. I didn't go to school to learn about social media. Yes, I've taken little courses along the way, but this was not my primary. I was willing, when someone said to me, have you ever thought about producing? Instead of allowing my mind to go, excuse me, I'm an HR professional. That's not something that I do. You know, that's what my ego used to say. Today, what I say is, tell me more. Tell me more. What would that look like? Why do you think that I would be good at that? How do you see that working? Tell me more, tell me more, tell me more, right? Isn't there a song like that? Olivia Newton-John sang? I think I hear her voice. Anyways, my friends, I want to invite you to really drop your barriers to the resistance and understand that to have a sustainable business, to have a sustainable strategy, and one that really contributes to you, you do need to sit down and get serious about the path and be willing to constantly look at that and see what else can be added to it. Have a strategy. When you have a strategy and something new comes along, it's much easier to see where it will fit or when it could fit than if you have no idea and you're just flying by the seat of your pants. When you're flying by the seat of your pants, it can be fun for a little while, but honestly, it can be extremely draining because you don't have a plan. And your plan doesn't have to be hard and fast, but your plan needs to be a guide. All right. My father used to put in guide rail that are those steel barriers that are along the highway. I want you to think about this strategy, your business strategy, as your guide rails, as you go down the zigzag road of business. They're there to guide you, not to hold you within. My friends, until we meet again, I really want you to look at this. I would love to have a conversation with you. I would love to look at what's going on in your business. And I'll bet you, if you're struggling or you've never done a business strategy before, you're going to be very surprised how quickly and easily we can put one together to support you. Just imagine 6 months from now, a year from now, your business could be doubled. You could have more joy in your business. And you could actually improve your health because your worry and your fatigue about worrying will be lowered or eliminated. The world deserves to have happy business owners, and the people that we are serving deserve us to be happy as well. Imagine the impact you will make in the world when you are happy and excited about your business every day. Maybe not perfect every day, but excited and knowing that you have got your own back in this zigzag of your business. It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be something you fight against, but it actually can be something that you can roll on down very easily when you have a plan and you spread out and you keep being open to new opportunities as the world around you changes. You're going to be very surprised around what actually you can be creating that's so much easier than what you've been resisting right now. The opportunities in the world are endless. And if you're willing to have more come your way, they're there. You just have to open up your eyes. So my friends, until I see you next week, I'm very grateful that you're here. Again, you can contact me, Christine, at inspiredchoices.ca. Send me an email. Check out my website, inspiredchoices.ca. or check me out on the 450 platforms we have. Until next week, remember, you can always make another choice.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Radio Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.